Now at 9, authorities identify a man who drowned at Joplin's Grand Falls. Plus, a judge's ruling in a restraining order case between Newton County officials.
Stocks are rocky, prices are high. The administration says they and the Fed are working on it. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have the latest on the economy coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Authorities in Joplin released the identity of the man who drowned in Grand Falls this week. The man is identified as 35-year-old Stanley Luke of Carterville, Missouri. Authorities say on Tuesday, Luke tried to go over the falls with a pool toy, hit a rock, and drowned. Search crews, as we see right there, from several local departments had been looking for Luke since he went missing and found his body shortly after 6 p.m. yesterday. Authorities are looking for information in a fatal hit-and-run crash involving a motorcycle and apparently a stolen pickup truck. Happened on a rural road about 3.5 miles west of Jenkins, Missouri yesterday morning. Investigators say a pickup hit a motorcycle driven by 38-year-old Patrick Anderson of Aurora, Missouri. Anderson died at the scene. The Highway Patrol says the truck driver got out of the pickup, fled on a bicycle. They say an unknown person then stopped in a car and took the driver from the scene. Investigators think the pickup had recently been stolen out of Monette. They don't know where the bicycle came from or who picked up the driver. A Joplin man who was originally accused of kidnapping another man at gunpoint gets 5 years probation on a plea deal. Joplin police say Benjamin Bartlett held a man at gunpoint in the back of a car in December, refused to let him leave. Officers found the car and gave chase. Eventually, Bartlett left the car and ran, but was caught. Bartlett pled guilty to resisting arrest, and prosecutors have dropped the kidnapping charge. Some inmates at the Bourbon County, Kansas jail are being moved. Officials say there just aren't enough jail employees to properly staff it. Now, the jail needs a minimum of 12 staff members, but come Monday, they're going to be down to 8. The inmates are being moved to other facilities in southeast Kansas. Now, the HVAC system at the jail has also been out for several days. Work to fix it began this week and is expected to finish in the coming days. Judgment has been made in a restraining order case the Newton County Treasurer and Recorder filed against the Newton County Commissioners. In 2020, the Newton County Commissioners had a restraining order filed against them by the Recorder's and Treasurer's office. The injunction says the Commission ordered the Recorder and Treasurer switch to a new IT provider picked out by the Commission. But the Treasurer and Recorder claimed as independent offices they weren't required to do so. As KON's Bronte Sorotsky reports, the judge has made their ruling in the case.
On June 24, 2020, Newton County Commissioners sent an email restricting Keel's consulting services, an IT provider, from entering any Newton County building and performing IT work on any county computers. Originally, a restraining order was filed by the Newton County Recorder's Office and Treasurer's Office against the county commissioners. A written contract was executed by the commissioners with Stronghold Data to provide IT and telephone service for Newton County for 2020. The county's recorder and treasurer did not agree to be part of the contract with Stronghold Data. Both offices continue to use Keel's as their IT provider, the one restricted from entering the building. The injunction alleged the recorder and treasurer switched to a new IT provider picked by the commissioners. On Tuesday, a judge ruled the plaintiffs, county recorder and treasurer can hire their own IT experts. The judge also denied the recorder and treasurer's request to forbid county commissioners from entering into their offices. Finally, the recorder and treasurer's attorney fees are to be paid from general revenue from the Newton County Treasury and will be taxed against the county commissioners.
You can find more information on this case on our website, KOAMnewsNow.com. A local organization today handed out more than $24,000 in grants. The Rotary Club of Joplin gave out grants between $500 and $10,000 to 9 area organizations. Those organizations include the Ronald McDonald House, Pro Musica, and the Community Clinic of Southwest Missouri.
It's phenomenal because we're able to help children in school. We're able to help adults who may be wanting to go back to school. We help out in organizations that support the arts in our community, and all of these things, we just see a vibrancy then for Joplin.
The organization announced the grants at an event at the End Zone facility over at Missouri Southern. Stocks are down, prices are up. Not a good combination for President Biden, who says tackling inflation is his top priority. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. with more.
The average price of gas has ticked down ever so slightly, but remains over $5 a gallon.
You shouldn't be making life decisions at the gas station. Should I get gas or should I get something to eat?
A Fox News poll found that 90% of voters find gas prices to be a problem for their families. Groceries are just below that. Inflation remains on the rise. The Federal Reserve is trying to bring it down, raising interest rates 0.75% on Wednesday, the most in nearly 3 decades.
We're just going to give the Federal Reserve the space to do what they need to do.
The move is risky. Chairman Jerome Powell says they are not trying to cause a recession, even as the possibility of one continues to grow.
Democrats have quite likely inflated their way into a recession, and now they want to pile on historic tax hikes and make it worse.
Meanwhile, Wall Street continues to react to economic uncertainties and to the rate raises, both at home and abroad. The White House sent top officials to Capitol Hill Thursday to help Democrats get their economic messaging straight and outline the administration's plan going forward.
House Democrats and the president are focused on lowering costs, trying to ensure that we have safe communities, good, high-paying jobs, and that's clearly the legislative focus.
Chairman Powell said more rate increases are expected in the coming months, though they will likely not be as much as in June. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol resumed hearings today, one day after postponing yesterday's hearing due to technical issues. It focused on claims President Trump tried to pressure his own vice president into keeping him in power. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera now in Washington with the latest.
Mike Pence was noticeably absent from today's hearing, but that didn't stop House lawmakers from praising the former vice president for his actions on January 6th.
But today we focus on the earnest efforts of Mike Pence, who was determined to abide by his oath of office.
In their latest public hearing, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot shifted its focus to then Vice President Mike Pence and the so-called pressure campaign by his boss, President Trump, to overturn the 2020 election.
This is almost no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president.
Lawmakers applauded Pence for ultimately certifying the election results, despite urgings from President Trump touting a theory by his attorney John Eastman that claimed the vice president had the authority not to.
Vice President Pence did the right thing that day. He stayed true to his oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
Lawmakers called on 2 of Pence's former advisors to testify and asked both about the legality of the Eastman theory.
Had Vice President Pence obeyed the orders from his president, would have plunged America into what I believe would have been tantamount to a revolution.
Today's hearing was a third of 7 planned by the House committee, expected to wrap up before the end of the month. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes its time to honor another 4-state hero. Gerald Spoon served in the U.S. Marines from 1951 to 1953. Native of Fredonia, Kansas, Spoon fought in the Korean conflict, earning several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Gerald Spoon. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, Southeast Kansas baseball head coach receiving Coach of the Year honors.
Well, of course, it turned out to be hot, very humid once again for us today. Temperatures right back into the mid-90s. We've been mainly dry. Overall pattern is mainly dry. We do get to throw some rain chances in there, which is always nice this time of the year. But staying hot, staying humid. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, hotter today, upper 80s yesterday. Mid-90s for us today. It's still warm. Most of us, even right now, are sitting into the mid to upper 80s. Looking at 7th range line, currently sitting at 81, pressure at 29.99 inches of mercury and dropping. We've had some cumulus clouds, which have kind of worked through, but besides that, there's nothing going on here. You have to travel north before you find any showers and thunderstorms, some right across central Missouri. Another little batch, eastern parts of Nebraska, and then a few more trying to get going northwestern parts of Kansas. But overall, none of these are going to make it here, mainly due to our big dome of high pressure, which is in charge. And as long as this just kind of sits here, we don't have much in the way of rain chances as we go through the next several days. So high pressure in charge over the weekend. We may get a couple little waves that rotate around it, and then it just kind of hangs out heading into next week. Here's Monday, Tuesday, finally Wednesday into Thursday. It starts to break down a little bit, giving us at least some better chances for some showers and thunderstorms. Until then, not a whole bunch really working through. All right, a lot of clouds tonight. We are going to see some clouds increasing due to the thunderstorms up to our north. Mid-70s, breakout, mostly sunny skies, about 90 by noon. I think most of us will go into the mid-90s during the afternoon. Here's your forecast, starting at 75, 91 by noon, high temp right around 95. Southerly winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Very slight chance there could be an isolated afternoon thunderstorm. Most of us stay dry. Tomorrow night, back down, mid-70s. Once again, Saturday, back into the mid-90s again, so hot and humid. Here's the difference. Look at these isolated little thunderstorms trying to pop up late in the day. Here's 3:30. Let's go into the evening hours, and a complex tries to develop. So this could give us some strong showers and thunderstorms Saturday evening if they can develop, kind of pushing through, rotating around that area of high pressure, so going east to west, which is kind of atypical for us around these neck of the woods. Heat indices up there again, 100 to about 105 tomorrow. Let's go into Saturday. Heat indices about 100 to 105 once again. 95 tomorrow, 93 Saturday, 91 on Father's Day, 93 Monday. A little bit better chances for showers and thunderstorms moving in the middle and latter half of next week, but definitely the heat sticks around. Jordan?
Doug, thank you. Coming up, the U.S. promising to deploy equipment faster to Ukraine.
Ukrainians are getting pounded in the east part of the country, but the Pentagon says more military aid is coming. I'm Nate Foy in Lviv, Ukraine. I have the details coming up.
Americans are back to shopping the old-fashioned way in person. Last month, online retail sales rose 2.2% compared to May of 2021. That's according to MasterCard. However, in-store purchases jumped up 13.4%. Some analysts say inflation is playing a factor, causing some consumers to shy away from buying big-ticket items like furniture, which is often bought online. Researchers at UCLA say adult flu vaccination rates have declined in states with low rates of COVID-19 vaccination. The authors say controversy over the COVID shot may be undermining other public health efforts and signaling a decline in trust in both medicine and the government. Ukrainian military is barely holding on in the east as relentless Russian shelling and air attacks threaten to overwhelm the defensive line. Pentagon says help is on the way, however. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy has more from Ukraine.
The war is now entering a critical phase. Russian forces appear to be close to overtaking the Ukrainians in Severodonetsk, a strategic city key to taking the Luhansk region in Donbass, which could determine the fate of eastern Ukraine. On Wednesday, the U.S. pledged another $1 billion worth of weapons and ammunition to help hold the Russians back. At a NATO meeting in Brussels, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said this about the U.S. and NATO.
There are things that we can do and will do to make sure that it's a lot easier to rapidly deploy forces forward.
As the fighting escalates, there are new reports of 2 captured American citizens, both former service members. The Russians claim they were taken while fighting with Ukrainians near Kharkiv. It's not clear what will happen to them, but pro-Russian officials in the region recently sentenced 2 British citizens to death, saying there's no reason to consider a pardon.
I have the right to pardon, but I can't see any reason to exercise this right. I should rely on the opinion of the citizens of the Donetsk People's Republic.
Meanwhile, the heads of 4 NATO allies, France, Germany, Italy, and Romania, arrived in Ukraine for a visit, doubling down on pledges to help the Ukrainians push the Russians back across the border.
This has to end with all the activities we are undertaking, with the aid we have mobilized, and also with sanctions.
We should also be hearing about more military aid at a NATO summit focused on Ukraine later this month. Reporting in Lviv, Ukraine, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
Still ahead, melatonin for kids.
Is melatonin actually safe for kids? I'm Marianne Rafferty in Los Angeles. I'll have the results on what a new study is showing coming up.
A congressional probe could lead to a potential recall of an everyday item for pets. The Seresto flea and tick collar, made by German company Bayer, could be recalled after finding the device poses risks to pets and owners. A new congressional report links the collar to almost 100,000 incidents, including 2,500 pet deaths. Almost 34 million collars have been sold to pet owners here in the U.S. who like the product's pledge to ward off those ticks and fleas for up to 8 months. Ford is recalling 2.9 million cars and SUVs that could roll away even when placed in park. The vehicles are the 2013 to 2019 Escape, 2013 to 2018 C-Max, 2013 to 2016 Fusion, and 2013 to 2021 Transit Connect. Now, transmission on the affected vehicles may not really be in the park position, even though the shifter position indicates the vehicle was shifted to park. Is melatonin really poisoning children? A doctor that is part of a new study explains why it's really the ingesting that has gone up and what parents should be aware of. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more from L.A.
New research from the CDC shows melatonin use in children has increased 530% over the last decade, with the biggest spike happening during the pandemic. Researchers looked at data from calls to poison control centers involving melatonin and children between 2012 and 2021.
Melatonin ingestion is increasing in children and primarily in children less than 5 years of age.
To break it down, in 2012, there were 8,337 calls involving the over-the-counter drug, but that number jumped to over 52,000 in 2021. And hospitalizations associated with kids taking melatonin also increased, with 2 kids under 2 years old passing away. Pediatricians are urging parents to stay alert and look for symptoms. Some of those red flags are headaches, nausea, vomiting, and extreme sleepiness.
You just want to still make sure that the child's arousable. They're able to wake up when you call their name or you touch them, they're still arousing.
The study points out that less than 6% of these incidents were intentional, meaning either parents gave melatonin to kids or older teens took too much on purpose. In a majority of the calls into the control center, the ingest was accidental. But why have ingestion shot up? Well, in some cases, it's all in the packaging. For younger kids, the over-the-counter drug sometimes looks like candy.
A bottle of melatonin left around or a gummy that was left around, and it looks enticing to a young child.
Doctors involved with the study say melatonin is safe, but they urge parents to use the same precautions they would for any medication. In Los Angeles, Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Up next, why scientists think there could be a black hole traveling through the Milky Way. Scientists believe the Hubble telescope has detected a black hole right in our backyard. Now, of course, that's speaking in astronomy terms when we say backyard. It's actually about 5,000 light years away in a spiral arm of our Milky Way, known as Carina Sagittarius. The black hole might look similar to what you are seeing right there, which is actually an artist's impression. Researchers believe the black hole is in motion and think there are about 100 million more free-floating black holes moving about our galaxy. The stuff we don't fully understand, it's something. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to check out a drone flying course Missouri Southern is offering some area high school students.
The cruise industry is back at sea, but it's not all smooth sailing. A shortage of workers is making the recovery just a little more complicated. We'll have all the details right after this.
Some upward bound students over at Missouri Southern got the chance to put their drone flying skills to the test. Upward Bound is a program through the U.S. Department of Education that works with area high school students to help them prepare for post-secondary education. Today, those students learned the ins and outs of that right there, drone flying, and the opportunities that come with it.
Much more opportunities for professional opportunities to serve the community and to participate. Everything from police officers to military members to deliveries of packages, pizzas, whatever, food.
Class usually has a program charge of $187, but for this class, it's all free. The Neosho National Fish Hatchery has started placing a new liner in one of its on-site ponds. Reconstruction is federally funded and began earlier this week. Roderick May, a project leader and hatchery manager, said the 9,000 fish in the pond were big enough to be taken over to Lake Taneycomo in Branson. Left this morning. They're swimming. They're enjoying the water right now as we speak. The replacement project is a way for the hatchery to continue providing those rare species of fish to lakes in the four-state area.
You know, that pond is empty right now. We actually didn't have trout in that particular pond this year. We've had trout in there before, but this year we had fathead minnows in that pond, and we knew that the project was coming up, so we had the pond already drained and cleaned and ready for the company to begin their work.
The replacement project will not stop the hatchery's ability to give tours and provide educational programs to visiting groups. If you're a lover of music, games, and lavender, this event might be just for you. The Lavender Patch Farm in Fort Scott, Kansas is prepping for their 2022 Lavender Fest 5. Tickets are $5 and attendees are going to get to see demonstrations including how to distill lavender and how to care for lavender. The Lavender Patch Farm opened in 2010 with just a single lavender plant. Now the farm has more than 1,000 plants.
We thought about fixing it up, and then we had a chance to move a home in here, and it's worked out well to have a home here. And then after we had the land for just a few years, we got started in the lavender business, and as Betsy was talking about, we started planting some lavender plants and kind of grew from there.
The festival begins Saturday at 9 in the morning and runs until 3 p.m. Well, Abbott Laboratories has paused production of baby formula again. Heavy rains earlier in the week in western Michigan caused flooding at Abbott's plant in the city of Sturgis, which led to Abbott temporarily closing the plant. Abbott says it expects the shutdown to pause production of formula for a few weeks. It's the second time this year that Abbott's baby formula has been in the news. Back in February, the company recalled 3 of its formulas over concerns about contamination of salmonella and a second bacteria. Well, the U.S. free lunch program is coming to an end. The program was spurred on by the start of the COVID pandemic and lockdowns, allowing students to receive free school meals. Good deal, right? Well, now, as more COVID measures become relaxed, Congress has decided to stop the effort as of June 30th. An extension of the waivers for another year was planned by President Biden, part of the $1.5 trillion spending bill he signed off in March. The extension, however, was shot down by Congress, which didn't include it in the spending bill. Cosmetics giant Revlon has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization. Revlon escaped filing for bankruptcy 2 years ago as sales slumped early in the pandemic. Those sales have since proved the company is dealing with more than $3 billion worth of debt. Still, they maintain demand for the products is strong. Cruise lines are canceling trips because they just don't have enough workers to run all those ships. Fox Business Network's Ashley Webster is at a port in Florida, Port Canaveral, with this story.
On the surface, it appears the cruise industry is back in business. 365 cruise ships are sailing this month. That's compared to just 77 this time last year. The CDC has also removed its travel advisory, and the pent-up demand for cruising is high, especially if you can avoid the airports. Take a listen.
People are recognizing that airfares have gone up, and it does affect how they want to travel. And with cruise ports, both on the East and West Coast and in Florida, there are more drive-to ports that people can go to and save themselves a little bit on the airfare.
But it's not all smooth sailing. For one, the cruise lines are having the same problem as the airlines, a shortage of workers. A backup at the State Department for employment visas has forced some operators to limit capacity on ships, close onboard restaurants, and even cancel some sailings. Last month, Norwegian Cruise Lines was forced to limit the occupancy on its Pride of America ship. We reached out for comment, the cruise line telling us in part, currently, due to the tight labor market, we have not been able to fully staff Pride of America. Therefore, in order to maintain the highest possible onboard guest experience, we are operating at a lower guest capacity. Carnival Cruises also were temporarily forced to close 2 restaurants on every ship in the fleet to combat the staffing issues. Meantime, Norwegian also suspended its August 17th inaugural voyage of the ship Primer because of supply chain issues.
We are hearing about some delays of new cruise ships coming out because the shipyards are having some of those same supply chain issues and frankly, the same staffing issues that, many industries are having. So we've seen a number of cruise ships being delayed for their debuts because of that.
But if you're looking for a good deal on a cruise trip, now could be the time. In fact, the deals are so good, 20 to 30% off, that some pre-booked passengers are now forfeiting their deposits and rebooking at those cheaper prices. In Port Canaveral, Florida, Ashley Webster for Fox Business.
A bit later, pretty cool or downright scary.
It's not exactly Skynet or Ultron, but a Google engineer claims the company has developed a computer program that is now thinking for itself. I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
Welcome back. Time now for the weather forecast.
Well, of course, it turned out to be hot, very humid once again for us today. Temperatures right back into the mid-90s. We've been mainly dry. Overall pattern is mainly dry. We do get to throw some rain chances in there, which is always nice this time of the year. But staying hot, staying humid. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, hotter today, upper 80s yesterday, mid-90s for us today. It's still warm. Most of us, even right now, are sitting into the mid to upper 80s. Looking at 7th range line, currently sitting at 81, pressure at 29.99 inches of mercury and dropping. We've had some cumulus clouds, which have kind of worked through, but besides that, there's nothing going on here. You have to travel north before you find any showers and thunderstorms, some right across central Missouri. Another little batch, eastern parts of Nebraska, and then a few more trying to get going northwestern parts of Kansas. But overall, none of these are going to make it here, mainly due to our big dome of high pressure, which is in charge. And as long as this just kind of sits here, we don't have much in the way of rain chances as we go through the next several days. So high pressure in charge over the weekend. We may get a couple little waves that rotate around it, and then it just kind of hangs out heading into next week. Here's Monday, Tuesday, finally Wednesday into Thursday. It starts to break down a little bit, giving us at least some better chances for some showers and thunderstorms. Until then, not a whole bunch, really working through. All right, a lot of clouds tonight. We are going to see some clouds increasing due to the thunderstorms up to our north. Mid-70s, breakout, mostly sunny skies, about 90 by noon. I think most of us will go into the mid-90s during the afternoon. Here's your forecast, starting at 75, 91 by noon, high temp right around 95. Southerly winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Very slight chance there could be an isolated afternoon thunderstorm. Most of us stay dry. Tomorrow night, back down, mid-70s. Once again, Saturday, back into the mid-90s again, so hot and humid. Here's the difference. Look at these isolated little thunderstorms trying to pop up late in the day. Here's 3:30. Let's go into the evening hours, and a complex tries to develop. So this could give us some strong showers and thunderstorms Saturday evening if they can develop, kind of pushing through, rotating around that area of high pressure, so going east to west, which is kind of atypical for us around these neck of the woods. Heat indices up there again, 100 to about 105 tomorrow. Let's go into Saturday. Heat indices about 100 to 105 once again. 95 tomorrow, 93 Saturday, 91 on Father's Day, 93 Monday. A little bit better chances for showers and thunderstorms moving in the middle and latter half of next week, but definitely the heat sticks around. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thanks so much again. Floodwaters that forced Yellowstone National Park to close are now causing heavy damage in nearby Montana. The high level of the Yellowstone River forced the closure of the water treatment plant in Billings, Montana's largest city. It's now running again at a low capacity. A statewide emergency has been declared there. Officials say they can meet the city's essential needs, but only if residents there conserve water. All right, coming up in sports, soccer fans in Kansas City celebrating a big announcement. Plus, Joplin Outlaws begin a 5-game homestand against Jeff City. Danny Terzer has those highlights next.
The Joplin Outlaws hit the field today to begin a 5-game homestand. Joplin hosts Jeff City tonight. It's the 4th meeting between these two teams in the past 5 days. The Outlaws have won 2 out of 3 of those meetings, including a 2-0 victory last night. Joplin in trouble early with 1 on. Ross Lovich blasts a home run to right. The Renegades score 5 in the 2nd inning. Then the Outlaws getting back in it. Sam Fagan finds a gap in deep center. 2 score for Joplin, Fagan with a triple, 5-3 Jeff City. But the Renegades not slowing down. It's Lovich again. Hits his second home run of the day, third of the game for Jeff City. That extends the lead back to 4. And right now, Renegades lead 12-5 in the 7th. Columbus head coach Mick Tedlock was named 3A Coach of the Year. Tedlock led the Titans to a historic finish this past season. Columbus made its first ever state tournament appearance this spring, but they didn't just make the tournament. They went on to earn a spot in the state championship game. The Titans finished as the 3A state runner-up with a 22-3 overall record.
I was surprised, and didn't expect it, and, but it's a contribute to the boys, the players, and assistant coaches too. These juniors, they're going to battle, and it's a real good class in every sport. I mean, they compete very well, and I know they've got a goal for next year to win it. I mean, they're going to come out and they're going to be ready to go, So we got to develop some more pitching and just work one day at a time, one game at a time, and reach that goal next year.
Kansas City will be one of the host cities for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This here is a watch party in Kansas City this afternoon when the announcement was made. And Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes shared his excitement this morning before the decision was made final.
It would be awesome. I mean, I was talking about with Brittany yesterday. I'm going to be at like every one of those games I could possibly be at if they do get them here. And I know Kansas City and how much they love soccer. I mean, you see it with Sporting and how they sell out almost every game. And then with the Current now in Sporting Stadium, they're bringing in these huge crowds. So you know that Kansas City loves that sport. And I think if we get that bid, we'll be selling out Arrowhead, Sporting, the Current Stadium whenever it gets built up. And it'll be a great experience, and I'll be at every single one of them.
Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight. Golden State has a 3-2 series lead, aiming to finish it off on the road tonight. Warriors up 72-55 in the third quarter. Steph Curry is 5 for 6 from 3 with a game-high 21 points. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Is it alive, or is it just a computer program? It's a question being asked by engineers and ethicists around the world. I don't know if I got it right that time, but I'm going to move on. Around the world, after a Google engineer claimed the company inadvertently created a computer program that can think for itself. Fox's Evan Brown has more in this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
It could be a big breakthrough for artificial intelligence, or just a computer program outsmarting its creator. An engineer at Google is in hot water after coming forward with a shocking claim that an artificial intelligence program the company is developing is evolving into something more. Blake Lemoine claims that Lambda, or language model for dialogue applications, is now sentient, meaning it is basically a new life form that learns, thinks for itself, and is interested in self-preservation. As proof, Lemoine posted on his Medium page what he claims is a transcript of a conversation he had with Lambda, in which the bot describes feeling complicated emotions like loneliness, and says it would object to scientists studying its neural network without its consent because it does not want to be, quote, manipulated. Lambda says it forms original thoughts and is not simply responding to questions with scripted answers. Google, responding with what they call a thorough review of Lemoine's claims, concludes there is no evidence Lambda is alive.
Now, after posting that transcript online, Lemoine was suspended. Google says he violated their confidentiality policies, though Lemoine says it was worth it. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Ethicists. You wouldn't believe how many times I said that word when we were playing that story. Oh, come on. Coming up, going to check out some of the small-scale produced movies coming to the movie theaters this summer. A lot of movie choices for moviegoers this summer. Not just the big blockbusters, sequels, and franchises. Going to take a look at some of those highly anticipated movie options on the way, from the lighthearted indies to a few scary movies. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
We have a lot of blockbuster films out this summer, but we also have a lot of smaller films that are highly anticipated. So let's talk about a few of those. Eric, let's start with Cha-Cha Real Smooth.
The big winner at the Sundance Film Festival. This is a really audience-friendly, a crowd pleaser. It's written and directed and stars a boy by the name of Cooper Raiff, also Dakota Johnson. He stars as an aimless college graduate who earning some extra cash as a bar mitzvah party starter. He befriends a mother and her autistic teenage daughter, and the three of them create a bit of a special bond that's full of love and, of course, heartbreak.
I'm recording this video because I'm looking for my family.
There's the family film Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, co-created by Jenny Slate.
Doesn't work.
And expect a few scary movies. Ethan Hawke leads supernatural thriller The Black Phone.
When a boy gets taken by a kidnapper deemed the grabber, his only way out may rest in an ominous black phone that keeps ringing inside the locked room he's being held hostage in.
I thought that I could make it all okay.
Resurrection is one of the great psychological thrillers of the summer. Rebecca Hall stars as a woman who seemingly has her life together until a stranger from her past shows up and throws her life into chaos.
Who wants to play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is ultimately a satire about the selfishness of youth culture. It's about a group of friends who throw a hurricane party at one of their buddies' mansions. When one of them mysteriously winds up killed, this is the kind of film that keeps you guessing to the very end.
You are so toxic. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Gonna leave you tonight with video of a baby aardvark at the San Diego Zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.